Alright, 97.7 Outlaw Radio FM listeners, you already know what time it is, and right here, right now, we are actually live on the air with a hip-hop legend, the phenomenal, the legendary KiddX, right here, live on the line, man. How are you doing this evening?
Oh, what's up with you? I'm doing good, just hanging, chilling, you know.
Hey, I gotta say, man, that's the best way to be. I hope everything is all well on your end, man. The past couple years have been crazy, man. I hope everything was all good on your end through the whole COVID situation. I'm glad to see that it's almost finally over.
Yeah, definitely, because, I mean, there's people walking around, you don't even see their faces, but now it's getting to where you can see a lot of people's faces, and it just makes you feel good to know that things are getting back to normal.
I definitely hear you on that, man. I don't know. About 5 years ago, man. Back then, if you walked into a bank with a mask, you're doing about 15 to 20 years. Now you can walk into a bank with a mask and be completely fine. It's almost like the rules are now completely reversed.
Yeah, exactly. It's like you can walk into a bank now, and it's like where's your mask at? But 5 years ago, like you said, you walk in a bank, they're like, oh, he's about to rob the joint.
But kid, I know you're a busy guy, man, so I'm going to dive right into this broadcast, but I got to take you back to the beginning of your iconic career this far, man, and I have to ask, what originally made you decide to pursue a career within the music industry initially?
I mean, ever since I was little, I always loved music. I mean, when I was a baby, I loved music. When I was a toddler, I loved music. Even when I was in my teens, and then when hip-hop came about in, like, the 80s, and then I heard Jam on it, and from that moment on, I was just like with hip hop. So I've always been a talented cat, like with sports and drawing, because like I'm an artist to the core. You know what I'm saying? So I got to the point to where I was like, okay, everything that I do is related to music, and I always just told myself I've always been good at a lot of things, but I wanted to be great at one thing. And I just realized that music was that one thing that just made me happy. It made me life just worth living, just everything, bruh.
I gotta say, man, music is definitely a phenomenal thing, man. It can definitely do a lot. It can definitely do wonders for the human brain.
Yes, sir. I mean, like, you can listen, like, music can put you in any mood that you want to be in. If you want to be angry, there's music for that. If you want to be sad, there's music for that. If you want to be happy, there's music for that. So any mood that you want to be in, all you got to do is find the right jam and you straight.
And also as well, man, in the year 1997, you actually released a cassette tape album titled The Unknown. I was wondering if you can actually tell us the backstory on this iconic project. And of course, do you have any plans to actually re-release it this year for a 25th anniversary?
I never really thought about re-releasing it like that, but as far as the album goes, if anyone knows anything about KiddX, they know originally I was from Texas, and like I said earlier, the whole fact that I wanted to be great at something, I decided to leave Texas to go to California to do music. So I went to California in the sole hopes of creating a music career. And obviously, it panned out pretty well for me because, I mean, I was able to go to California to do my music. And honestly, when I first did it, I knew I was good, but until you get people's, like, their opinion or their thoughts on your music, you don't know how really good you are. Because as an MC or an artist or whatever, you can't go on stage or you can't go make music and say, oh, I'm weak. You know what I'm saying? You got to go in there like a beast, like a lion, knowing that your stuff is bomb. So when I dropped the first album, it's like, it was more like a tester. Because, like, if you notice, with all the albums that I've ever dropped, that's probably the shortest album I've ever had. So that's kind of how it started. I mean, I came to California, and I was on the verge of getting sent back to Texas. But luckily, I ran into some guys, and we became crew. And the rest is history.
And I gotta say, man, the one song that I really liked off that project was actually "I'm Different," man. I don't know, there's something about that song I was always drawn to.
Oh, I'm different. Oh, that's actually so with that album. I produced half the album. My boy Ace Boogie, he produced the other half of the album, and I'm different. I kind of did that song just to put it out there, to like, cause like back in that time, or that era, like people would do music, but everyone would sound like either NWA or Chuck D or MC Hammer, you know what I'm saying? Or and the thing that always got me is like a lot of cats around my way on the east side, San Jose, word up, they would always want to sound better than the cat around the block. When I got into music, I wasn't trying to sound better than the cat around the block. I was trying to sound better than the cat that I listened to. And I always saw myself on that level. So, but I didn't want to sound like anyone else. So that's why when I dropped that album, that song, I pretty much did the songs as self-therapy. Like anything I wanted to talk about, I just talked about it and put it out there and was just hoping everyone was feeling it. And obviously, many years later, people were feeling it.
And also, as well, I know a few moments ago we just spoke about your 1997 release, The Unknown, but I have to bring up your other 1997 release, man, because this is actually my favorite project that actually made me just absolutely love your craft, man. With the album titled X Marks the Spot, I was wondering if you can tell us the story behind this iconic album, and of course, what was it like just being in the studio and piecing together this masterpiece?
I mean, with that album, that was like in a time in my life where things were changing for me as a person personally. And so with that album, I think that album kind of reflects the changes that I was going through in life. And pretty much any album that you put on of mine, you'll know exactly what I'm going through at that time in my life, because I put it all out in the music.
And I gotta say as well, man, that album, in my personal opinion, is absolutely phenomenal. I love the joint that you actually did with Raydawg, man. If you don't mind me asking, what was it like just actually working alongside Raydawg on that particular project?
Oh, Raydawg, that's my man. So Raydawg, so back in the day, I used to, because I make beats too. So my original plan when I retired from the hip-hop game of being an MC was to make beats for other people. Because like I said, I did beats before because I love music more than anything. And so when Raydawg, he came to my studio when he was like 18 years old. And he came in the studio and I just saw something about him. I knew there was something about him. I knew something about him was special. And he just needed some direction. And oddly enough, me and Raydawg, he goes by Ray Sensei now. We're actually in a group called Criisis. And we actually released the album a couple years ago together. And we're working on the new one right now. And this one, like the first album was really good, but this one, I think this is that next level. How you felt about X Marks the Spot, I think this is that next X Marks the Spot for Criisis.
And also as well, you actually, back in the 90s as well, you actually founded your own record label titled Is Mine Records. I was wondering, can you tell us a bit more about that company, and of course, what originally made you decide to start that label up way back in the day?
Basically, I mean, what the story behind Is Mine Records is, I always wanted to be an MC. I always wanted to be creative. And I never wanted anyone to tell me what I could do, when I can do, or how I can do with my craft. I always wanted to have the final say so. And most people that they're not in the music game, they don't understand this. But most record labels, what they mostly do is they let you build a buzz, and then they tap into what you're doing, and they make money off of what you've already created. So I figured, okay, well, I already have a buzz. I don't want to give up any creative control for my music, so I want to make a record label. And the record label, it is mine. So therefore, that's how I came up with Is Mine Records.
And I gotta say as well, man, you know, such a phenomenal company. I have to ask, are you actually still running that label today? And if so, who's actually currently signed to you as well?
Funny that you mentioned that. I'm actually still running the record company, the Still label, and I was actually talking to Ray Sensei, which is Raydawg, because Raydawg is a phenomenal talent, but he's never really put any material out there. But if you ever heard any of his underground stuff, the man is dope. So me and him were actually talking about this, is like, he needs to be able to put something out there for the world to see. Because, I mean, he's done features on my albums before. He's done features, obviously, with the group that we're in, Criisis. But he's never been able to just shine on his own. But he has so much talent. He has so many lyrics. He with Ray Sensei, Raydawg, with him, he puts it all out there. He doesn't hold anything back. He will just say what he feels or what he's been through, and he's been through some stuff. I mean, I don't know if I can cuss or not on here or whatever.
Oh, we're completely uncensored, man. Definitely have at it.
Okay. Well, he's been through some shit. You know what I'm saying? And the fact that he's been through some shit, he's not afraid to let people know that he's been through that, and it comes across in his music. And that man is like a perfectionist. And it's like, when I first got him into the studio, he knew he had lyrics, but he didn't know about formatting. He didn't know about piecing songs together. And he didn't know. He just thought, you go in there, you say some rhymes, put it to a beat, and it turns out dope. But he learned that there is a work ethic behind it. And once he found out that there was something behind it and there's a formula to it, he perfected that, and he perfected his lyrics. Like, you'll never hear Raydawg or Ray Sensei say any lyrics the same ever, because he's that meticulous about his craft.
And also, as well, going back to Criisis for a moment, I remember you actually mentioned talked briefly about the hip-hop group Criisis, but I was wondering if you can actually tell us a bit more about that group, and of course, how did yourself and the other members originally get connected and, of course, come together as what we know now as Criisis?
Okay, well, so what happened is I was obviously doing my music, and then I ran into this guy named Trey Flo. And Trey Flo, he's a little older than me, so he brings that old school flavor. Plus, he's from the East Coast, so he definitely brings that vibe to it. So he started making beats for me, because like I said before, I was making all my beats all the time after a while. But I was like, why do I need to be doing all the stuff? Why don't I delegate things to other people? So I started delegating beats responsibility to him, and he started coming to me with some crazy beats. So once he came to me with those beats, I started doing a lot of stuff with his beats on my solo project. And then Ray Sensei, which is Raydawg, he has always been my day one partner since 1990 something. And me and him, we always work well together, and I always used to tell him we're like yin and yang. It's like I'm that light, that positive that positive vibe. He's that dark, that menacing type style, but our hearts are the same. So the fact that that was the case, we always meshed together. So anyway, he released this track called Vice. And when he released that Vice, it's kind of like it's an old school track, basically not dissing the new school rappers, but basically just showing the new school MCs that you got to pay dues. You know what I'm saying? Hip hop and rap are two different things. Most cats nowadays don't realize hip hop and rap are two different things. So anyway, he dropped the track, and then I was like, oh, that's nice. I think I should get on that. He's like, yeah, go ahead and do that. Anyway, so we did the track, and we dropped it. It was a banger. It came down wonderful. And then from that moment on, we was like, hey, let's work on the album. I always wanted to work with you on an album. So finally, we decided to work on that first album that we did together, and it was amazing. And now we're on to album number 2.
And also as well, August 8th of 2020, Criisis actually released the phenomenal 19-track album titled The Crown. I was wondering if you can actually tell us a bit more about this particular record. And of course, where can our listeners actually buy or stream ourselves a copy of it today?
That's the actual album that I'm talking about, The Crown. You can get that online at www.criisis.com. Criisis is CRIISIS.com. You can get it on the Apple Pay. You can get it on Google Play. You can get it on any streaming platform that they have out there. And if you just check out the album, check out the webpage, you'll always know what's going on with KiddX. You'll always know what's going on with Criisis. And we just always been in love with music, and that's why we're a group. Because, like, honestly, I never thought I would ever be in a group because I've always been solo. But the fact that all three of us think the same way about music, it's not like we're 3 separate individuals. It's like we're one. And so the fact that we all think the same and we have the same passion and the same drive, that's what makes us great. And me and Raydawg were great by ourselves, or we were good by ourselves, but together we're amazing. And you add Trey Flo with his musical talent, because Trey Flo actually plays drums, and the kicks that he be coming up with and the drum patterns that he comes with on the album, it just throws the tracks over the top.
And also, when you actually brought up that you guys have a brand new record coming out soon, you actually provided us here at 97.7 FM with 2 unreleased tracks from the Thought Out EP. I was wondering if you could actually tell our listeners a bit more about these 2 songs and what can they expect from them when they hear them for the very first time right here on 97.7 FM.
Well, the new album that what we were trying to do with this new album is basically pull the people. The original title for the album was called Heartstring, but now the album's going to be called 2, because it's like, even though we're rappers and even though we're considered stars, we still want to be just like everyone else. So we go through the same thing that other people go through too. And so with this new album, we kind of like basically express our opinions on everything from Black Lives Matter to relationships to being a certain nationality and being strong. We touch on a lot of different aspects, not just the music aspect. This album, we talk about a lot of things that deal with like worldly things, like things that people go through on a regular basis. Like, we have a song called I Ain't No Star, and basically we're basically saying it's like, yeah, we got people that listen to us and they like us, and we doing our thing out there, but whatever. But we're just like you. We're no different than you. We just decided to put our music or our thought to music.
And I gotta say as well, I actually listened to these songs actually before I locked and loaded them in the station's airwaves, and I gotta say they are phenomenal songs, man. I gotta say I wish I didn't listen to them because now I'm super excited for your guys' up and coming record. I want to hear more, man, but I gotta wait just like everybody else.
Yes, sir. We're pretty much almost finished with the album. We have maybe one song that we need to finish, and then we have to do the finishing touches on it. So the album is coming this year, and it's coming real soon. And you definitely won't be disappointed. This is to me personally, one of my best albums, and I'm that proud of it. Like each of my songs, they're like babies to me. And with this album, I'm like that proud dad that holds his seed up to sunlight. You know what I'm saying? Because that's how proud I am of this new project and the group Criisis, and just the whole journey from the first album to this album.
And also as well, KiddX, what is next for yourself, man? I do know that we've talked very much about this brand new Criisis album that is coming out. But other than the Criisis album, what is next for yourself? What's next for yourself? Is there going to be any more KiddX solo records, or are you just focusing right on the Criisis stuff?
I think right now, I'm at the point to where I'm focusing more on the Criisis situation, and I'm just focusing on the new talent that's out there, because there's talent out there. I'm not going to say all the young cats out there that are spitting rhymes or spitting verses don't have talent, because I mean anyone that gets up there, whether I think they're good or not, they have some talent. It may not be what I appreciate, but there's someone out there that will appreciate their talent. So, like I said earlier, I eventually want to just produce, make beats, and just kind of be in the background. You know what I'm saying? Just yeah, I did that beat. And I know that there's a market out there for my KiddX beats, because I'll give you a little story that happened back when I was younger, back when I was barely starting writing the rap game. I was in this rap contest, because before I was really a household name, KiddX, I was doing rap contests. I was getting out there trying to get my name out there as much as possible. So anyway, I had this one artist that I was working with that I made some beats with, and then I was actually in the contest as well. Long story short, I ended up winning first place in the contest, and the person that won second was the guy that I did the beat for. So it's I know music, I know talent, and I think now it's time for KiddX to just give back and just find those hidden gems out there, and be able to present those to people to where they can understand that hip-hop is still alive, that hip-hop ain't going nowhere. Hip-hop is here to stay. It's not going anywhere.
And also, KiddX, this is the time in the interview quickly that I give a chance for the individual that does slide into the radio station airwaves, just a chance to give shoutouts to whomever they want to give shoutouts to, but most of all your social media handles. That way our listeners can follow you and stay updated on everything KiddX and Criisis if they're not already doing so.
Okay, let me see. See, you always see this kind of stuff on TV shows and award shows and all that kind of stuff, and you'll never really come prepared for that, so I just go come from the top. Obviously, I got to thank God, because he's given me the ability to do what I do. My mom, my family, my children, all the wonderful MCs that I've worked with, Ames Boogie, for helping me to even getting started in this hip hop game because like he was making my beats back in the day. Sensei, which is Raydawg, Trey Flow, Eclipse 427, Mystic Journeyman, Aesop, all those cats we used to rock back in the day, and at the Cactus Club in San Jose, and that's where like a lot of us blew up, and that's where we all started back in the day. You know what I'm saying? Like the Grouch, you know what I'm saying? All those cats, Merce. So I mean, I just want to give thanks for all those people for helping me become the person that I am as an artist, and I wouldn't be anything without hip hop.
And also as well, Kid, if you can, drop your social media handles. That way our listeners can follow you. We are an old school hip hop station, man. So I really hope the listeners are already following you.
Oh, okay. Well, I got Spotify. I mean, that's just KiddX on Spotify. I got YouTube channel, which is KiddX 1-on-1. What else? Like I said, I already told you about the Criisis webpage. Those are the main ones that I really focus on as far as the music go. I have a Facebook KiddX page as well. So those, if you want to get in contact with KiddX, those are the best ways to get in contact with him.
And I gotta say, first and foremost, Kid, thank you so much, man, for just giving us a bit of your time here this evening and sliding into the 97.7 Outlaw Radio FM airways, man. I've already told you when we first set this up, man, I've been a big fan for a long time. So thank you for making so many monumental albums throughout the years that so many of us fans had the opportunity to enjoy for so many years, man. And I'm definitely excited for this brand new Criisis record, man. Thank you so much.
I appreciate it, man. You stay blessed, bro.
Hey, man, you as well, man. Thank you so much, KiddX. Definitely gonna have yourself a wonderful night.
All right, peace.